Okay, hey everybody, welcome to another episode of On the Wrist from Off the Cuff. Today, another cool review for you from the brand Brellum. A little bit about the brand. Brellum was founded back in 2015 by Sebastian Mueller, who is essentially a fourth generation watchmaker in a watchmaking family that dates all the way back to 1885. Now, Sebastian, with over 25 years of personal experience in the Swiss watchmaking industry, decided to really strike out and make a brand of his own. And essentially, with the mission statement of being a Swiss brand that develops, produces, and markets, really high quality timepieces for admirers of exceptional craftsmanship. Now, this is the kind of watch that is really a watchmaker's watch, a watch lover's watch. Now, an average, passerby might think this is a really great watch. I shouldn't say it might. They will definitely know this thing is killer on your wrist, but all the little nuances, all the little details, those are some things that really are going to pay off to the real watch aficionados out there. This particular model is a chronograph. Now, some key common characteristics and design language for a chronograph. Of course, it's going to have those external pushers, as you can see, to activate the timing functions, and then you're going to have multiple subdials to measure elapsed time, often featuring additional scales and which are normally dependent on the subgenre. Now, as you can see here, we have that nice outer tachymeter scale, but we also have the inner telemeter scale. So really cool from that aspect. I've actually reviewed, I think this is the third Pandial model on the channel, and the first one I did was this dual box classic. I really enjoy these, and big shout out to Sebastian at Brellum for kind of sending this one in as a loaner for me to review and take a closer look at. And I gotta say, I really do like this more kind of subdued, lower contrast option. I think it looks really, really cool. So with that said, let's go ahead and take a closer look. Okay. So as you can see, as you'd expect from a Brellum, this thing is a looker. Really gorgeous. And then, that patented, shouldn't say I don't think it's patented, but definitely signature, dual box sapphires. Really, really gorgeous. And that outstanding movement there, just finished to the highest qualities. Now, this particular variant is known as the Pandial. Of course, it's in the Pandial line, and this is the gray Meteor model. Now, the really nice thing about here is we do have still, of course, it does have the kind of the panda contrast there, but at a much lower contrast. This thing's a lot smoother, a lot more low key, and isn't going to quite stand out on the wrist, but because it has a lot going on, and I'm really enjoying the color play there, how they tied in the different tones that really look outstanding against the loom there. I just think this one is a really special kind of low-key model. For those of you that maybe want to go for the functionality but aren't huge on a lot of the flash, and it definitely in the details still has tons of that flash, as you can see from that extremely sharp an outstanding bevel there. Look at the case finishing here. Really, really just gorgeous. So, the stats did go across the screen there in the beginning of the video, but let's go ahead and just briefly cover them again. This is a 43 millimeter with a 15.9 millimeter height. And then it's, of course, all stainless steel. It's brushed and polished. And then it does have, of course, the polished pushers, and then that mixture on that signed crown there, where you do have some light blasting, some engraving, some polishing. It really has it all and really sets this piece off. These actually retail for about $2,300 direct from Brellum, and then of course that does depend on the current exchange rate because they do deal in Swiss francs. The sapphire is, of course, boxed with an inner AR coating. It does have that fixed bezel with that nice tachymeter insert there, as you can see, really gorgeous. The crown isn't a screw down crown, but you really wouldn't expect it to. The movement in here is really quite gorgeous. It's internally known as the Brellum BR750-1 automatic chronometer, but essentially it started its life out as a Valjoux 7750 and a chronometer spec, and basically got completely decked out, as you can see there, from the finishing, the blued screws, and you know, that gorgeous skeletonized and highly detailed rotor there. Really just super well done. And then the greatest probably part that sets this apart from most 7750s is the way that it's displayed. I mean, you feel like that rotor is almost peeking out from the case and kind of in your face because of the way that they have the setup there on that grate. Let me just, so you can get a look there. That's when it's not winding. That's, if you ever see that in other you know, in other watches, basically when it's free spinning like that, that's basically the non-winding direction. Then it winds when it goes the other direction. But really smooth, not loud at all. And then of course we can get an idea of the pushers. Nice solid feel like you would expect from a 7750. Beautiful snap back. Really nicely done. Now, another nice detail about this is that dial. Now, although it is, of course, a Panda style dial, that gray, the way it plays with the light there, that Meteor gray tone, and then, of course, it does have the radial details all over those subdials. And I love those super subtle black date disc with white font there at 6 o'clock. Really just, I mean, you couldn't have a better integrated you know, date there, I think, for this type of watch. I mean, you often see just the weirdest, most odd cutouts being used when it comes to the dates on chronographs, and I think Sebastian really has an eye for design with this model. Really, really gorgeous. So another nice feature is, of course, these little details. You know, everything. This actually has a lot more lume than the standard dual box, but this is something that's carried across all Pandials, and we'll definitely get into that inside the lume shots. But what I really like too is that they used some nice kind of green, pale green tones to really tie into the lume and make it feel a bit more cohesive and purposeful in the design aesthetic and the color play. So really nice from that standpoint. Some more on the specs. Of course, this is 22 millimeter lug diameter, and then lug width, I should say. And then this has this great, you know, perforated kind of rally style strap. And then it does have this great deployment here for the buckle type. So this is going to look really great on wrist. So let's go ahead and get it on there. All right, as you can see on my 7¼ inch wrist, this thing wears really well. Get a little bit more arm in there, give you kind of a better idea of scale. Of course, up close, it's going to appear very, very large. And that's just kind of, you know, the nature of kind of that camera lens distorting the view a little bit there. But I will say that in person, this thing wears super nice, especially, of course, when you realize that you're not just a floating wrist. There's actually, this arm is attached to an entire body. So as you can see, really nice. It hugs the wrist really well with those great turn down lugs. Of course, there is going to be a little bit of lift because of that shape of the case back, but what it does is it actually offers you tons of mobility, which is really nice. And then, of course, you have this beautiful signed clasp there, a little worn in, as this is a kind of a press loaner that has done the rounds. At least the strap has. I believe I might be one of the first ones to actually review this particular dial option, so really excited about that. And as you can see, it just has such a gorgeous profile. I mean, look at that sapphire. I mean, as many fine details as there are, just like on the back side when you're looking at the movement, you have all these fine details on that dial, and then you just have the greatest way to frame it with that box dome sapphire, which just has such a luster and a richness to it. And still extremely readable even at very, very, very harsh angles. So really nice. As you can see, those tones that the grays can hit, it can be something more like a pewter and a brown, or it can look almost black. And it just really plays with the light very nicely. And then, of course, those little green accents that you see there definitely also tie in to the way the watch appears in the color play and kind of the way the light bounces off the dial in contrast. So this thing Really, really gorgeous. Great motorsport style watch. I'm also quite a big car enthusiast, so this is something that definitely I would love to take out on a drive. So just really well done. And I just wanted you guys to get an idea of how this wears on the wrist. Of course, most chronographs are pretty large by nature. Generally, they're going to be thick. So if they were actually a smaller diameter and just as thick, it'd feel like you had a tennis ball on your hand, right? So the fact that it's actually wider in diameter and it's taller actually helps proportion and spread the heft of the watch around, so it doesn't feel quite so top heavy. So that's just really nice. But let's go ahead and get some low light transition shots. Okay, let's go ahead and hit the lights. Now, as you can see, this thing is no loom beast. Of course, it is your kind of standard racing motorsport style chronograph in regards to loom. But I really, really enjoy the way they did everything here. It's quite legible. I mean, of course, mostly for time telling, you're not going to really be using those kind of lower scales, but there is some charge in there, which the camera probably doesn't pick up as good as just the naked eye can. I can actually read those subdial hands a bit better than it looks like they're going to come out on screen right now. But what I did want to do is go ahead and get some low light transitions going, just so you guys can get an idea of the beautiful finishing here. And of course, get a more true idea of what this dial is going to read like. Because let's face it, guys, you're not always going to be in extreme, well lit situations like my studio lights are going to imitate there, where it's basically how this would look in direct sunlight. What I like to do is kind of give you guys an idea of how this is going to look in day-to-day life when you're kind of transitioning in and out of a vehicle, in and out of your, a building, something like that. And also what these low lights can really expose is the quality of that finishing, which can often be washed out when it comes to studio lighting. So you can see the way the lights are really just dancing over that finishing, down that brushing, super uniform, as you can see there. There's not a ton of variation in that. Really, really nice. And if I probably come down a little bit lower, there you go, you can see really just those nice chamfers really, really singing off the lights there. Let me come down on this side. So really gorgeous. This is just a handsome watch in any lighting situation, as you can see, coming from kind of from pure darkness to, oh, hello. That is a great looking watch. So, as you guys know from watching my channel, I'm a huge fan of Brellum. I think what they're doing is amazing. I think the pricing structure they're doing is extremely competitive, especially considering that you're going to be getting a COSC certified chronometer. Not only that, it's a mechanical chronograph, guys. I mean, that's already getting you, in the area where you're paying gray market money for this type of money. You're getting other watches that aren't going to be finished as good, and you're not even going to get a factory warranty. Here you're going to be buying directly from the manufacturer. You get all the perks, all the benefits, and you actually kind of get to, while you're at it, even build a relationship with the owner. So I got to say, I'm a huge fan. There's even like groups, where kind of people appreciate these watches together on Facebook, which I'm a part of. And I got to say, those wrist shots just make me feel like I wish I could own every single model and variation. And I'm just infinitely impressed by this brand. Closing thoughts on the wrist: balanced proportions. Although it is a little bit tall, it's not bulbous by any means. It's very classic without feeling derivative, which is great, because it's so easy for watches to look like other watches, especially when you're going for that classic kind of mid-century look. It's refreshing to have something that looks like it has its own design language. This is what a Brellum watch looks like, and it does help that they came out with multiple different chronographs and different finishes and whatnot, and they really have owned and just enjoyed this market and this space, and I think they've really added a lot of value out there. Now there's tons of little model variants, of course, Pandial specific. There's blue and silver with orange accents. Then you have that classic pale silver / white with black subdials, and then you also have black dial with silver, which would be kind of the reverse Panda. Now comparable models wise, there's tons of 7750 powered chronographs. I own a few of them. But there's really nothing at even twice the cost of this that compare to this level of fit and finish and specs. You can pay double for this watch and have a watch that's not COSC certified and that doesn't have case finishing this fine, and definitely won't have the level of finishing on the movement, just the little nuances, the gorgeous sapphires on the front and the back, and that great box dome, which just adds so much I guess life, I think, to the dial, the way the light just kind of dances around the edges there. I just really love it. Bottom line, you're getting amazing value, really for what you pay for. Now, again, COSC certified automatic chronograph, executed to a luxury level, not near luxury. This is luxury level stuff, guys. And it's really not often found in the sub 5K range, if it's ever found there. So I think really what Brellum's doing is really quite special. So if you own some high-end watches and you're looking for something where you can get a lot of bang per buck, I think this is your choice. I think also if you're, looking for a really solid chronograph, and maybe this could be kind of grail level for you, if spending $2,000 or $2,500 or $2,300 in this case on a watch is going to be something that's, you're going to have to save up for, I think this is a great package. I'm just based on the fact that it's a mechanical chronograph that's COSC certified. Even without all the specs, the details, the finishing, the nuances, the great backstory, the super Swissness of it, even without those things, just on paper, those specs are tough to find, especially underneath $5,000 and outside of special editions. I'm sure there's a couple special editions out there that have similar specs, and there's tons of stuff on the used market. But you know what? You're buying this thing brand new, and it's getting direct, and you have a full retail warranty and everything. So it's if you want to compare apples to apples, this thing stands head and shoulders above the competition. So with that said, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked the video, definitely hit like, and if you haven't already, please subscribe for more content just like this. Thanks, guys.